Hello everybody, this is Archana Mohite Bodkhe. Today we are going to study a poem from the textbook of Standard 12th English, The Inchcape Rock, and the poem is composed by Robert Southey. This poem is a ballad. A ballad is a song that tells a story. It can be dramatic, funny or romantic. Here it's a story of the Abbot of Aberbrothock and a pirate, Ralph the Rover. The benevolent Abbot of Aberbrothock had installed a bell on the Inchcape, a notorious sandstone reef, in order to make the sailors cautious about the impending danger on their way. However, Ralph the Rover, the pirate, cuts it sheerly out of malice and contempt, and then he gets paid for the same. Now let us see the poem and the poet.
Robert Southey was born in 1774 and he died in 1843. He belonged to the Romantic school of poetry, and he was a poet, historian, biographer, and essayist. He was a renowned scholar of Portuguese and Spanish literature and history. He was a poet laureate of England from 1813 until his death. Some of his famous short poems, like The Scholar, The Battle of Blenheim, are very famous. His biographies include the life and works of John Bunyan, John Wesley, Oliver Cromwell, etc. Let us start the poem now. The Inchcape Rock. No stir in the air, no stir in the sea. The ship was as still as she could be. Her sails from heaven received no motion. Her keel was steady in the ocean. The pirate, Sir Ralph the Rover, set out with his crew in a ship on calm waters in order to plunder the cargoes on a fine spring morning. There was no motion either in air or in the sea. The ship was sailing smoothly with sails and keel steady in unruffled waters. Without either sign or sound of their shock, the waves flowed over the Inchcape Rock. So little they rose, so little they fell, they did not move the Inchcape Bell. Due to the calm weather, the waves neither rose nor fell, and they flowed calmly over the Inchcape Rock. They did not dash against the rock, and so the Inchcape Bell also did not sound. The Abbot of Aberbrothock had placed that bell on the Inchcape Rock. On a buoy in the storm, it floated and swung, and over the waves its warning rung. This bell was called the Inchcape Bell because the Abbot of Aberbrothock had placed it on the Inchcape Rock on a buoy which floated and swung in the sea. During the rough weather, due to the rising waves and hard-blowing wind, the bell would ring and warn the sailors about the impending danger. When the rock was hit by the surge's swell, the mariners heard the warning bell, and then they knew the perilous rock and blessed the Abbot of Aberbrothock. When the waves would rise high and the Inchcape Rock would be invisible, the mariners would know that they were nearing the dangerous rock due to the bell sound. The sailors would bless the Abbot with all their heart for saving their lives. The sun in heaven was shining gay, all things were joyful on that day. The seabirds screamed as they wheeled around, and there was joyance in their sound. When Ralph the Rover was sailing in his ship, it was a sunny day and the atmosphere was congenial. The seabirds moved around the ship in circular motion and gave out cries of joy. The buoy of the Inchcape Bell was seen, a darker speck on the ocean green. Sir Ralph the Rover walked his deck and he fixed his eye on the darker speck. The buoy of the Inchcape Bell was far from the pirate and so appeared like a dark, tiny dot on the green ocean. Ralph the Rover, the pirate, walked on his deck and stared at the buoy. He felt the cheering power of spring. It made him whistle, it made him sing. His heart was mirthful to excess, but the rover's mirth was wickedness. Ralph the Rover felt cheerful on that spring morning. He whistled and sang and expressed his happiness, but his joy had sprung out of a vicious motive. His eye was on the Inchcape float. Quoth he, my men, put out the boat and row me to the Inchcape rock, and I will plague the Abbot of Aberbrothock. Staring at the Inchcape float, Ralph the Rover commanded his sailors to take the boat to the rock, as he wanted to cause trouble to the great work of the Abbot of Aberbrothock, which had endeared him to all the sailors. The boat is lowered, the boatmen row, and to the Inchcape rock they go. Sir Ralph bent over from the boat, and he cut the bell from the Inchcape float. Then, lowering the boat, the boatmen rowed it and reached the rock. They reached the Inchcape rock. Ralph the Rover bent over the boat, and he cut the bell tied to the buoy. Down sunk the bell with a gargling sound. The bubbles rose and burst around. Quoth Sir Ralph, the next who comes to the rock won't bless the Abbot of Aberbrothock. Thus the bell sank deep in the ocean with a gurgling sound, giving rise to the bubbles from the spot. Ralph was jealously happy that none ever will bless the Abbot of Aberbrothock hereafter. Sir Ralph the Rover sailed away. He scoured the seas for many a day, and now grown rich with plundered store, he steers his course for Scotland's shore. The pirate, Ralph the Rover, sailed away freely in the ocean and looted many trading vessels. After accumulating a big plunder, a big fortune, he set sails for his homeland, that is Scotland. So thick a haze overspreads the sky, they cannot see the sun on high. The wind hath blown a gale all day, at evening it hath died away. Then suddenly the weather conditions changed. They couldn't see the sun as the sky was covered with mist. The wind was tempestuous and the storm abated in the evening. On the deck, the rover takes his stand. So dark it is, they see no land. Quoth Sir Ralph, it will be lighter soon, for there is the dawn of the rising moon. It was so hard to understand which way they were going. So Ralph went on the deck to guess the direction they were heading to, but couldn't see land anywhere around due to darkness. Then Ralph tried to comfort the crew members, saying that very soon the moonlight will spread and then they may find a way. Cast here, said one, the breakers roar, for methinks we should be near the shore. Now where we are I cannot tell, but I wish I could hear the Inchcape bell. One of the sailors asked whether they could hear the waves breaking on the shore. He guessed that they were nearing some shore and wished to hear the sound of the Inchcape bell. They hear no sound, the swell is strong. Though the wind hath fallen, they drift along, till the vessel strikes with a shivering shock. Oh Christ, it is the Inchcape rock. The tides were high, but they could hear no sound. Their ship was carried along the waves when all of a sudden it shuddered as it struck against the Inchcape rock, eventually. Sir Ralph the Rover tore his hair. He cursed himself in his despair. The waves rush in every side. The ship is sinking beneath the tide. Now seeing whatever was happening, Ralph the Rover went furious over this and he started cursing himself dejectedly. The waves dashed on the ship and it got engulfed in the sea. But even in his dying fear, one dreadful sound could the rover hear. A sound as if with the Inchcape bell, the devil below was ringing his knell. Ralph the Rover could hear a frightening sound now, and he felt as if the devil was striking his knell, that is, the death bell for him with the Inchcape bell. Whatever he had conspired against others, he met with the same consequences. His crime got its own punishment. So this was all about the story of the pirate Ralph the Rover and the Abbot of Aberbrothock. The rhyme scheme in this poem is AABB, and the diction used makes the poem graphic. The use of archaic words like blessed, quoth, canst, cursed, and methinks is noteworthy. The figures of speech that have added to the beauty of the poem are as follows. Robert Southey has made a profuse use of the figure of speech called alliteration. We get many examples of alliteration here. Let us see them one by one. The ship was as still as she could be. Here the sound of SH is repeated without either sign or sound of their shock. Here the sound of S is repeated. On a buoy in the storm, it floated and swung. Here also the sound of S is repeated. And over the waves, its warning rung. Here the sound of W is repeated. When the rock was hid by the surge's swell, here the sound of S is repeated. And then they knew the perilous rock. The sound of TH is repeated here. The seabirds screamed as they wheeled around. The sound of S is repeated here. The buoy of the Inchcape Bell was seen. Here the sound of B is repeated. Sir Ralph the Rover walked his deck. The sound of R is repeated here. And he fixed his eye on the darker speck. Here the sound of H is repeated. His heart was mirthful to excess. Here too the sound of H is repeated. Quoth he, my men, put out the boat. Here the sound of M is repeated. The boat is lowered, the boatmen row. The sound of B is repeated here. And to the Inchcape Rock they go. Here the sound of TH is repeated. Sir Ralph bent over from the boat. Here we find that the sound of B is repeated. The bubbles rose and burst around. Here too the sound of B is repeated. Sir Ralph the Rover sailed away. The sound of R is repeated here. He scoured the seas for many a day. The sound of S is repeated here. He steers his course for Scotland's shore. Here also the sound of S is repeated. They cannot see the sun on high. The sound of S is repeated. So dark it is, they see no land. The sound of S is repeated. For there is the dawn of the rising moon. The sound of TH is repeated here. For methinks we should be near the shore. Here the sound of SH is repeated. Now where we are, I cannot tell. Here the sound of W is repeated. They hear no sound. The swell is strong. The sound of S is repeated here. Though the wind hath fallen, they drift along. The sound of TH is repeated here. Till the vessel strikes with a shivering shock. The sound of SH is repeated here. Sir Ralph the Rover tore his hair. Here the sounds of R and H are repeated. He cursed himself in his despair. Here the sound of H is repeated. And therefore all these are the examples of alliteration. Now let us see repetition. No stir in the air, no stir in the sea. Here the words no stir in the are repeated for laying emphasis, and hence the figure of speech is repetition. Then so little they rose, so little they fell. The words so little they are repeated here. It made him whistle, it made him sing. Here the words it made him are repeated. Now let us see personification. The ship was as still as she could be. Here the ship is given the human quality of standing quiet, still. So it is personified. Then another example. So little they rose, so little they fell. They did not move the Inchcape Bell. Here the waves are given the human qualities of rising, falling and moving the objects from one place to another. And thus the waves are personified. Let us see the examples of inversion here. So little they rose, so little they fell. Here the word order is inverted. The proper word order is they rose so little, they fell so little. Next example, on a buoy in the storm, it floated and swung. The correct prosaic word order is it floated and swung on a buoy in the storm. Then, and over the waves, its warning rung. The correct prose word order is and its warning rung over the waves. Next example, and to the Inchcape Rock they go. The correct word order should be, and they go to the Inchcape Rock. Next example, down sunk the bell with a gurgling sound. Here, too, the words are inverted. The proper word order should be, the bell sunk down with a gurgling sound. Next example, quoth Sir Ralph. Here, the proper word order should be, Sir Ralph quoth. Then, on the deck, the rover takes his stand. Here, the correct word order is, the rover takes his stand on the deck. Next example, so dark it is, they see no land. Here also, the word order is inverted, and the correct word order is, it is so dark, they see no land. Next example, now where we are, I cannot tell. The proper word order here should be, I cannot tell where we are now. Next example, one dreadful sound could the rover hear. Here, the proper word order should be, the rover could hear one dreadful sound. Now, let us see the example of antithesis. So little they rose, so little they fell. Here, two contradictory ideas of rising and falling are expressed, and therefore this is antithesis. Then paradox. But the rover's mirth was wickedness. Here, two apparently opposite feelings, mirth and wickedness, are expressed together, which appears absurd but holds truth. And therefore, this is the example of paradox. Next figure of speech is onomatopoeia. And the example is, down sunk the bell with a gurgling sound. Here, the word gurgling denotes sound. Then apostrophe, the example, O Christ, it is the Inchcape Rock. Here Jesus Christ is addressed as if he is there in front of them. Hence, this is the example of apostrophe. Then euphemism. The devil below was ringing his knell. Here, the harsh and unpleasant fact that Ralph the rover was about to die is conveyed through the mild words ringing a knell, and hence this is the example of euphemism. Then a very simple figure of speech, exclamation. O Christ, it is the Inchcape Rock. Here the strong feelings of confusion, sudden shock and sorrow are expressed, and so this is the example of exclamation. Then simile. One dreadful sound could the rover hear, a sound as if with the Inchcape bell. Here the dreadful sound heard by the rover is directly compared to the sound of the Inchcape bell, and hence this is simile. Then metaphor, the devil below was ringing his knell. Here the dreadful sound heard by the rover is implicitly compared to the sound of knell, that is death bell. Now let us see the example of climax. He felt the cheering power of spring. It made him whistle, it made him sing. His heart was mirthful to excess. In this example, the description of the rover's happiness is in an ascending order. That means from cheer to excessive mirth. And therefore, this is the example of climax. Friends, in this poem, we have seen that the abbot had done no wrong to the pirate. Yet, the pirate, Ralph the rover, couldn't stand the gratitude and blessings showered on him by the sailors. Sheerly out of jealousy, he committed this heinous crime. This kind of joy, which is obtained through others' sorrows, is nothing but a perverted joy. And such joys, friends, never last long. It is said, we get what we give others. For no reason, Ralph the rover hatched a wicked plan of endangering others' lives. He dug a pit for others, but he himself fell into it. Now, regarding the crew of his ship, why were they punished? Though they didn't plan to cut the rope of Inchcape Bell, they mutely sided the wrong decision or the wrong stand taken by the pirate. It is said, friends, Maunam Sammati Lakshanam. So, though the crew members of the ship did not hatch the plan of causing harm to others, yet they did not oppose the pirate Ralph either. And this way, they took a wrong stand and therefore they were punished. So, here we come to know that not only harming others is a crime, but also being a mute witness while harm is caused to others is a crime. In this way, this poem, The Inchcape Rock, is a didactic poem giving us a message: as you sow, so shall you reap. Everyone must inculcate the habit of doing good to others. Hatred and jealousy beget the same, and ultimately we have to cultivate our craft. Hostility and such other ill feelings make us pay in the same coin, because what goes around comes around. Remember this always. Dear children, I hope you have understood this poem. Thank you for watching.